there's a hint in the number of letters the word is supposed to have. So I was just guessing random words. So yeah, living and learning. See, learning from teenagers. That's an example right there. So guys, then if we all back, in fact, we technically never left because you all stayed the audio connection with Zoom. I've known Jan now for what, 5 years or more? Like we met in Budapest in this event related to the World Economic Forum, but not really. Just there having fun for a weekend, lots of different activities. Jan is based in Germany. He is working with Singularity Consulting, and as I promised to myself, I'll keep those introductions a minute. Just let you introduce yourself, and thank you so much for joining us. Tell us a bit more about what you do and how you heard about Way and why you decided to join us here today.
Thank you so much, Marcelo. It's a pleasure to be here. Yes, my name is Brecke. I live in Munich, in Germany, and I'm a leadership consultant. That means I help managers and executives to do a better daily job when they are leading other people. And that means I do a lot of coaching, and I'm also helping companies to build a better corporate culture, and I explain later to you what that is. I would like to talk to you today about two topics. One is purpose. The second one is leadership in itself, because it's a topic that I love. And you probably all have heard the word purpose. And I don't know, when I was your age, I had no clue what I wanted to do. I had no clue at all. And I come from a very provincial town in northern Germany, pretty boring. I was I would say, a pretty bad pupil, nothing special at school. I was okay, but I was pretty bored. And what changed my life, I was with the German Sports Association in Japan for 5 weeks. So through my sports exchange that I did, I had the opportunity to travel through Japan. Do we have any Japanese people with us? It doesn't seem so, more from China as I see. So this trip of 5 weeks changed my life completely, because I, for the first time in my life, I really got a special interest in something that said, okay, I want to live later on in Japan. I would like to understand the language, and I would like to fully understand this country, because this culture fascinated me. And I would have probably, if I would have come to China or something else, maybe it would have caught my interest as well. But I really loved what I saw there, and I really loved the, let's say, the culture, the special culture in Japan, because people, it's a group orientation that they have. This is why I caught fire. The second one at the same time happened around 17, 18. I wanted to study business and economics, but I wanted to combine this with psychology. And although I had no clue what it is, I thought there must be people who take care of the atmosphere in companies. And the word coaching didn't exist at this time, but I thought there must be people to take care of that and to help to improve the atmosphere. And this is why I studied at the university after my business administration studies in Constance psychology. What I didn't know was that they had the most interesting internship and the most interesting scholarship at all for Japan. So each year one student could live and study in Japan, live in a host family, and really concentrate on the language. And I got 2 times the scholarship. It was a coincidence, it was fate. I didn't plan this, but this again changed my life, because I had the opportunity to really study the language there, work there, and it was pretty expensive at this time. This was more than 20 years ago, 22 years ago. At this time, Japan was so fucking expensive. Nobody could afford it. So I was pretty lucky with the scholarship. The second thing was, I then, after I finished all this stuff in Japan, I lived in other countries as well. I would say I had a manager career myself. I was working for big corporates like Daimler. I was working for a big Swiss bank. And they, after I had lived in Switzerland and have built up a recruitment center. Recruitment means choosing of people for the company. I was sent to New York to head leadership development for the US market. And I was this was the beginning of the financial crisis. It was a very interesting but extreme time, and I learned a lot at this time. But what was interesting for me, I mean, within these 15 years in bigger corporates, this dream that I had about finding the future of leadership, combining psychology and business administration, came true. It really came true. I was lucky, but I followed this dream pretty early. And the second one was, as I mentioned, I really was fascinated by cultures, and bringing these two together. It was a nice way of emergence, I would say, is a slow movement. But what I would like to introduce to you today, when I was your age, it would have been easier for me to find out the purpose, how to develop this. And I would like to introduce a certain concept to you that helps me a lot when I'm doing coaching today. It is called Ikigai, and it's a Japanese concept. And I try to share my screen, if this works.
I have to make you a co-host. Just give me 1 second.
That would be great. Yeah.
Yes, you should be able to share it now.
Nope. Can you see it now? Nope. Can you see this picture of Ikigai?
Yes.
Good. Okay. So this has 4 topics, and it would have helped me early on if I would have seen this. And I use this concept in all my coachings today with managers. It is the first part of Ikigai is, what do you love? When are you completely in a flow? When you do something that other people think, boy, this is cumbersome and this is tough, etc. And after, you will love it. You are in a flow. You enjoy what you are doing completely. The second topic is what is important. What are you good at? What do people, let someone entry. What do people say about you where you are especially good at? And this sometimes is not the same as the topic as what you love. The third one is what the world needs, meaning maybe you have an irrational drive into something where you think, I have to take care of this. To me, it is, besides leadership and cultures that I'm interested in, I am very much driven to bring more people and especially kids into education. And this is why I work pro bono for foundation. I'm doing lots of projects in Myanmar, in Burma, where we have now built 80 schools, and we have 300 scholarship students that we help. And I'm 3 times a year, I'm there in Myanmar building up the schools. And I have a special drive into that. So what does the world need from you? You will find it out. And the fourth one below is the reality check for everything that you have collected until now, what you love, what you're good at, and what the world needs. Do the reality check what you can be paid for pretty well, or somehow good. What do people finance you with? It could be that you love knitting, or that you love to do fashion, but it might be that others can do that cheaper than you. So do the reality check regarding that. To me, Ikigai brings some answers, but another answer, what your purpose is and what you want to do in your life, is a question that I ask nearly all my coaches in the first session that we are doing. Meaning, what should people ask? What should people tell at your 80th birthday about yourself? What kind of speeches should be held upon you? What should they mention about what kind of character you are? I don't like the question is what should be written on your tombstone. It's a little bit too drastic. So let's have a little bit more lightness with that and enjoyment. So what should people tell about you? And then you will find out what your purpose could be. I'm stopping the sharing. How can I do this? I stop, yes. So this is something that would have helped me early on to finding out my purpose. So what else am I doing? As I said, I'm coaching managers. I'm also very much interested how the future of leadership looks like. And I have done a study with the World Economic Forum with the Global Shapers. Some of you might know them. The Global Shapers are talented young people like you, below the age of 30, who have already achieved a lot. So, and I have done a study with 107 of them out of 57 countries to find out what do these talented people have in common and what should we understand about leadership. And this is something I would like to share with you as well. I try to show this again. Can I share again?
Yeah, should be fine. Your co-host.
See. I'm so bad at this, Marcelo. I'm so sorry.
Hey, we are all learning here.
I'm learning all the time. Can you see it now? It's called Singularity Leadership, this graphic. Can you see it? I hope so.
Yeah, it's a little bit too big for the screen, but you can see most of it.
Okay, then I talk you through it. So what I found out of this study is, first, I mean, it's a no-brainer. We need the different intelligences, and we are at the moment just using the logical and mathematical and analytical skills. And what comes up in the future much more is the topic of feeling, empathy, intra and interpersonal skills. Intra means I understand myself. Interpersonal means I understand others. And I found out that the topic of passion and curiosity is something that all these young leaders have in common. What we find out, Marcelo and I, and people who are a little bit older, when you meet people at graduation parties, I mean, 20 years later, etc., the ones who made a career were not the guys who were the best at school. Very often, these were the guys who are outperforming at learning agility, curiosity, and passion, because they are very fond of what they are doing. And also, spiritual intelligence means to have a connection to your own body. This is something that came up also regarding mindfulness in the last years. Another important topic are communication skills, what makes a good leader. And everything that pays into, do people follow you naturally despite hierarchy? Then you are certainly a great communicator and probably a good leader. It means it has to do with presence, with clarity. How can you give inspiration? People who are interested in creating meaningful relationships are very good at creating strong bonds. And this has a certain drive. But everything that pays into creating natural followership helps massively. Another topic, again, the learning agility that I mentioned. It needs to have, for good leadership, intercultural openness. It needs really living and being change, to have a fierce focus and to create a big picture. And the topic that is on the right-hand side below, it's called modesty mindset. So I would say 20, 30 years ago, we had more ego-driven leaders. Today, and also in the future, I see that most of the better leaders are very good listeners, are pretty mindful, and they are more modest. We call this also confident humility. That means they have a confidence, but a humility in what they are doing. And everything of this pays also into singularity skills. We need tech savviness, we need exponential thinking. Platforms are important, that you have a competence really to build up something bigger. Just to mention this shortly, this is something I wanted to mention to you regarding future of leadership. And I would say I stop here and let you ask questions regarding the topics of purpose or leadership, everything that you want to know. Also, it could be regarding what is a coaching practice. I'm here to answering everything that you're interested in.
And that could be anyone, like participants or speakers. I mean, I'd be very curious to learn more about how you got into coaching. But if anyone else has a question, please go ahead.
Yeah, hi John.
Hi.
Super nice to hear from you, and it's really cool that you know, you work in so many different kind of industries and companies before you started your own consultancy. So I'm just curious, uh, you know, what made you, you know, decide to find your company, and why name it Singularity Consulting?
Yeah. First, I did this 5 years ago. I was for 15 years in bigger corporates, and I had cool positions. I mean, I was with General Electric, what was a great company. I was heading the learning and development for Europe for the 90,000 people. But I felt that I'm not in the middle of what I really want to do. I felt that I'm not so interested anymore. And status and hierarchy and money is not my primary interest. It is a hygienic factor for me. So I was bored. And what I love to do is, most of all, having close interactions with managers and helping them, typically in a one-on-one setup, sometimes also in workshops. And I realized I can't do that anymore. So this is why I left the corporate world. And today I would say I'm at 99% self-fulfillment. So, I mean, coaching managers, at the moment, I have two bigger cultural change projects for big corporates. One is the biggest energy company in Germany, and helping them to find also their purpose. The second one that Marcelo was asking, how do I get into coaching? I think I had my first coaching education when I was with Daimler about 15 years ago. No, longer. It's 20 years ago, shit. 20 years ago, and I certainly had some other education. So I'm doing this for about 18 or 20 years or so. But to do this alone, I mean, with my own business, is just for 5 years. And I certainly also coach sometimes team heads or so, but most of all, these are board members or senior vice presidents of bigger corporates.
Awesome. And why? I'm not sure if you explained just now, but why? Because your company has a very interesting and cool name, which is a Singularity Consulting, if I'm not wrong. So what does singularity mean?
Say it again, please. What other?
What does singularity mean?
I'm sorry. Very good. So singularity can mean that one event has a huge influence on other events. The second is, singularity can mean technically that artificial intelligence is stronger than the human intelligence. And so it's a little bit futuristic. My company is called Singularity Leadership Consulting, meaning from this leadership model that I invented, finding the way to better leadership for a better world is, I would say, is the purpose that I'm interested in, because I've seen so much bad management and leadership, and I have a strong drive to change that, because I want to bring more people into their, let's say, to their purpose, but that they can enjoy work. And I see so much fear in bigger corporates and so much disenjoyment or less enjoyment. And I think we spend so much time when we work, we should love what we do. This is what I hope and that I can bring to the table.
Wow, that's really cool. Really, yeah, very meaningful name. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
We now have to pass the torch to our next speaker. So Jan, thank you so much for sharing. In fact, both of you are in Germany, so maybe you're just 5 meters away from each other, living in the same building. I don't know, but yeah, Vaita is also based there.
Who is also in Germany?
Ich bin in Deutschland.
Hi.
Hi.
It's a very British name. So I connected with Vaita via the Horazes conference, because we're both supposed to be speaking there, and she's working with super cool technologies related to hydrogen fuels. I never had really the pleasure of meeting her in person. I don't want to take away your time, Vaita, so I'll let you introduce yourself, the work you're doing, and